system products like IBM, Sterling Integrator, TIPCO, and MuleSoft. Okay. This is my LinkedIn ID, and I love to share my knowledge via YouTube tutorials. So you can follow my channel, Your Integration Buddy, okay, and have a look at the videos that I have created.
So because I'll just stop sharing so you can have the access to your, is it fine?
Yep, yeah, sure, sure, that's fine. I'll share my screen. Yep, hope my screen is visible.
Yeah, we can see it right now.
Okay, cool. So yeah, before we go into details about the migration to CloudHub 2.0, let's try to understand some basic concepts of CloudHub 2.0. Okay, so why this CloudHub 2.0 was introduced and what are the features that it's along with itself. Okay, so with the help of CloudHub 2.0, you can deploy and run your applications in containerized environments based on EKS. EKS stands here for the Elastic Kubernetes Service provided by AWS. So in CloudHub 2.0, MuleSoft has completely revamped the underlying infrastructure. Okay, so earlier in CloudHub 1.0 used to be AWS EC2 instances in which your applications used to get deployed. But now it is getting deployed in the EKS cluster. Okay, so let me just show you a real quick how does a EKS cluster looks like. This is a EKS cluster, and EKS cluster is having the nodes. Okay, and inside the nodes we have the pods. Okay, so pod smallest unit of a EKS, and inside this pod we have the containers in which the applications get deployed. Okay, so now earlier it used to be EC instances, and now it is a EKS, which is a Elastic Kubernetes Service. So that is a major difference between CloudHub 1.0 and CloudHub 2.0. Okay. So the question arises like, what was in CloudHub 2.0? So basically to bring in more like operational, okay, and secondly to keep up with the technological advancements. Okay, so those are two primary reasons why it's CloudHub 2.0 was brought up. So the help of CloudHub 2.0, so it provides basically a standardization boundary. So by running each application as a separate container, as I showed, and it provides the deployments also across 12 regions, global regions, as similar to CloudHub 1.2. It provides dynamic scalability also. So currently only the horizontal scaling is supported, okay, and vertical scaling is not yet supported in CloudHub 2.2. Out of 2.0, we have a very good option, like we can uh, choose the granular options of like V codes. Earlier, like in CloudHub 1.0, we have like we can do the application to point one and then one and two, those core allocation is there, right? But here we have more granular V core option. We can deploy the applications to point one, point five, 1.5, and 2. So it helps in the more granular option, allocation of the V cores to the application. And then applications can be deployed to the cluster mode, okay, similar to RTF or on-prem clusters. So that clustering feature was not supported in of CloudHub 1.2. And then it supports for both rolling update and recreate while application deployment. Okay, so rolling update means there will be downtime for the application when you're deploying, and recreate means like the earlier the replicas will be terminated and the new replicas would be created. So in that case, there will be downtime in the application. So you have both the options over here. The applications which can sustain the downtime, you can choose the recreate, and where there is like you don't need downtime, in that case you can opt for rolling update. Okay, so yeah, so any questions guys before we move forward? Okay, let's move forward. Okay, so this is the CloudHub 2.2 architecture. So we have control plane and the runtime plane. So control plane, as we already know, it consists of endpoint monitoring, object store V2, runtime manager, exchange, and access management. And the run we have this worker nodes of the containers in which the applications get deployed. So again, like why CloudHub 2.0? Because it's fully managed by MuleSoft. It's complete iPaaS, okay, and it's lightweight containerization, and then the granular resource allocation and enhance security. So here, if I click on this link, I'll go to comparison of CloudHub 2.0, 1.0, and Runtime Fabric. So MuleSoft has provided what are the things which are supported in CloudHub 1.0 and which are not supported in CloudHub 2.0. So you can just go through this and link and find out what are the features which are there in CloudHub 1.0 and 2.0 and what are the features which are not there in CloudHub 2.0. Okay, so it provides all the comparison here. Okay, so basically this CloudHub 2.2 like setup is similar to runtime fabric. The only difference is that in RTF runtime fabric the customer manages the runtime plane, but here in the case of CloudHub 2.2 it's completely managed by MuleSoft. Okay. So here, where does applications get deployed in CloudHub 2.2? So in CloudHub 2.2, we have a concept of shared spaces and the private spaces. Okay. So shared space, what is a shared space? Shared space is an elastic cloud of resources that includes Mule instances running in multi-tenant environment. Okay, so it's a multi-tenant environment. Multiple customers can use this shared space. So here, when do we opt for shared space? When we don't require isolation from the public cloud, when we don't want to connect to our on-premises data center, okay, and when we are okay to use cloudhub.io as a domain name, okay, and basically when you want to do some POCs, right? In that case, you can just go ahead with the shared spaces. Okay, it's not recommended to use for the production environments. So production environments, we use the private space. Okay, so private space is similar to your VPC. So in CloudHub 1.0, we are creating a VPC, right? So it's similar to that. We create a private space in CloudHub 2.0. So it's a virtual, private, and isolated logical space in CloudHub 2.0 where we deploy and run our apps. Okay, so here you can connect to your own premises data center when you deploy your apps into private space. Okay, you can have your own uh, unlike domain names. Okay, you like need not use the cloudhub.io domain, which is a by default a domain name provided by MuleSoft. You can use your own domain name as well. Okay, you can configure your own firewall rules. You can choose whatever environments and business groups you like to be a part of private space. Okay, and with the help of private space you can connect to your on-premises data centers, okay, via VPN or using a like AWS transit gateway. Okay, here important thing to note here is that the VPC peering and AWS direct connect, so those two are not supported in CloudHub 2.0. Only Anypoint VPN or transit gateway are supported. Okay, so you can let's take an analogy, like so shared space you can refer to like you're entering a hotel and booking a room. Okay, the customer who is serving the room number 101 is also serving a room number 102. Okay, the shared resources are shared basically, okay, between the customers in a hotel. And private space you can just consider like you own your own house, your own villa, you can say, okay, where you are the owner. You decide whom should come inside the house and who should go out of the house. Okay, so that's how shared space and private space works. Ikram, do you have any questions or we can move forward?
I'm good for now.
Yep. So here is the architecture for shared space and private space. So here you can see that it's a multi-tenant space and no vanity domain means no custom domains are supported. Last mile security and SSL forwarding are supported. Okay. And in the private space, you can see that we have this ingress load balancer here. Okay. Ingress load balancer, which routes the traffic to the worker nodes. Okay. And this is a VPC and it is connected via Anypoint VPN and plus transit gateway. Okay, so these are only two ways which you can have the external connectivity from the CloudHub 2.0.
And can we have multiple
Uh,
private spaces?
yes, I'll show you that. Yes, we can have. Okay. Yep, so here is a sizing information about CloudHub 2.0. So like, as I told you earlier, we can have more granular level of sizing here in CloudHub 2.0 as compared to CloudHub 1.0. So it helps in more efficient allocation of resources here. You can see here we can allocate zero point 0.1, zero point 0.2, zero point 0.5, 1, 1.5 up to 4. Okay, and number of replicas can give from 1 to 8. So here the options of zero point 0.5, 1.5 are not there in CloudHub 1.0, but those have been introduced here in the CloudHub 2.0. Okay. And deployment model, as I mentioned earlier, rolling update. So here the older version of the application is maintained while the new one is getting deployed. So obviously it will need extra vehicles, right? And recreate, you terminate the old replica and deploy the new replica. Okay, so it's quicker than rolling update and no extra vehicles are needed. So here replica refers to the instances that we are deploying. So in Cloud 1.0, we used to call them as workers, but now we call them as replicas. So this is the architecture of CloudHub 2.0. So here you can see that it's a control plane. So it's communicating with the runtime plane, and runtime plane we have this network load balancer in which the request comes, and then it gets distributed via the ingress load balancer into the mule apps. And we have the NAT gateway to manage the outbound traffic as well. So here in CloudHub 2.0, you can manage your outbound firewall rules as well, so which is currently not possible in CloudHub 1.0. So in CloudHub 2.0, you can have your own outbound firewall rules via the NAT gateway. Okay, so here the request comes via the network load balancer and it gets routed by the ingress controller. So ingress load balancer. So here we don't need the dedicated load balancer. We don't need to buy the dedicated load balancer as we used to do in CloudHub 1.0. So ingress load balancer comes like it comes with the private space itself. So there is no additional cost which is associated with buying the ingress load balancer. Okay, so you can do away with the dedicated load balancer in CloudHub 2.0. Okay, so as I told, like it supports a TLS context, custom domains, and it supports the last mile security and SSL forwarding as well. Okay, and these are the two connectivity options: VPN and transit gateway. So direct connect and VPC peering is no longer supported in CloudHub 2.0. Okay. So this is a comparison sheet that I put together between CloudHub 1.0 and 2.0. So as I told, like so object store, VPC, VPN, transit gateway, high availability, clustering. So all see high till high availability, everything is supported. So clustering, you can see, is not supported in CloudHub 1.0. Outbound firewall rules are supported in CloudHub 2.0, but they are not supported in 1.0. So deployment rollback, I'll tell you how it is supported in CloudHub 2.0. So but it's not supported in 1.0. So data graph is not yet supported, VPC pairing is not yet supported, and most important things, persistent VM queues. Okay, so persistent VM queues is not supported in CloudHub 2.0. So if any of your apps in CloudHub 1.0 you're using the persistent VM queues, then you have to like either go for the JMS brokers like the Solace or ActiveMQ or Anypoint MQ when you move to CloudHub 2.0. Okay, CloudHub connector is not supported in CloudHub 2.0. Then direct connect is not supported in CloudHub 2.0. Static IP addresses are supported, so but they are supported as per the for each private space. Okay, in CloudHub 1.0 we used to have it on the app level, but here in CloudHub 2.0 it's on the private space level. And the inbound firewalls are supported in both the cases, CloudHub 2.0 and 1.0. Okay, so yeah, so I think, yep, let's do a demo and how do we, what things we need to do for setting up the CloudHub 2.0 environment, and how do we, what changes we need to make to migrate the app to CloudHub 2.0.
We got just one question from Madhava in the chat.
Uh,
He's asking, can you explain more differences between DLB versus Ingress in Cloud Up 2.0 point of view?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, as I told, like so dedicated load balancer, right? So dedicated load balancer we used to have in Cloud up to 1.0, right? In which like we can expose. So we used to have like for experience APIs. So we used to expose to a dedicated load balancer to our outside world, and for then for system and process APIs which we don't want to expose to outside world, we used to have it keep it like the internal dedicated load balancer in Cloud of 1.0. Okay, but here in the case of Cloud of 2.0, there is no need to have the dedicated load balancer. We can have we ingress load balancer comes like it's comes with the private space itself. Okay, so no need to buy extra license for this ingress load balancer in the Cloud of 2.0. I hope I'm clear.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, fine. So here, Yep, I think you were asking about the private spaces, right? So how
Yep.
do we set up the CloudHub 2.2 environments? Okay, so first we go to Runtime Manager. Okay, so here we have the private spaces. Okay, so as I told, like the private spaces are best suited when we are working in live or the production projects. Okay, and the shared spaces are like you can just use them for the uh, POC purposes. Okay, so here in the private space, or as I told you, private space is nothing but the similar to VPC we used to create in out of 1.2. So you click on create private space. Okay, so I can just create. I'll just create one. Okay, and here you have to option to create private network. So when you click on the create private network, you have to provide a cider block. Okay, so I hope everyone is clear on what is cider block. So a cider block is a set of IP address ranges, okay, that is provided to us for creating this private space basically. Okay, similar to what we used to create for the VPC. Okay,
And
so
similar to that, we cannot change the CIDR
that
block
is
once it's
correct.
created.
That is correct. And once it is created, we cannot change it. Okay, so it's really important. Like we should be allocating like we should be like creating it and considering the applications of which we are going to deploy and how many workers or replicas we are going to use. Okay, so here in the cider.xyz is one of the sites in which you can see, okay, how many IPs you want to reserve. You can just change this. Like if I 16, you can allocate maximum IPs of 65,536 for your apps, and then you can keep on increasing this. And you can see like how many, like if I keep it at 20 as subnet, then 4,096 IPs will be allocated to your private space. Okay, so like this, you can see, and you can see how many IPs you want to allocate to this private space. Because the thing is that if you run out and of your IP addresses in the future, you don't have the the capability or the ability here to increase or modify your cider block. You have to create a new one, and then you have to move your apps to the new private space, and definitely like will lead to downtime over there. Okay, so you have to create this private space very judiciously. Then create connections, as I told, like create connections to our external networks using a VPN or transit gateways. So we have the option to create connection here as well. So the subscription which I am having, so it allows me only having the four private spaces which I have already created. Okay, so rest are just I'll just show you the one which I'll be going to use in this demo. So when we create that private space, okay, so here I created with a setup block of 24. Okay, so with 24, how many IP addresses I will get? I will get 256. Okay. So here is a CIDR block, and here the DNS server and public DNS target. Okay, and private DNS target is there, and then there's the inbound static IPs and the outbound static IPs. Okay, so here these are the by default domain names that are allocated. So whenever we deploy the app, we'll be using this public or private DNS targets to access them. Okay,
And here
and
the
inbound.
outbound static IPs will be the one which will be giving for static IPs in case we want RE based
That is correct.
address,
Like
right?
outbound static IPs. Yes, yes, correct. So suppose like from the outbound set from you want to send some data to external FTP server, okay, and they want to whitelist your IPs. Okay, in that case, you can provide the outbound static IPs
So
to them, and they can.
all three should be specified. We cannot select
Yes,
any one.
yes, 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 yes.
Same
Okay.
goes with
So why
inbound.
three? Like the question arises, why three? The three refers to because there are three availability zones in this region, USA East 2. Okay, some regions may be having like more or less availability zones. So based on that, the number of IPs may increase or decrease as well. Okay, let's move forward, Akram.
Yeah, because there's one thing like Rahul has asked, like, can you explain more on the outbound firewall rules for support?
Yes, 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 I'll explain when I go to firewall sections. I'll explain that. So then we have the domains and TLS. So as I told you, right, in the domains and TLS, we can create our own custom domains, right? So this is a by default domain which is provided by MuleSoft. So if I click here and Click on view details. So this is the external domain which we can expose to the outside world, and this is the internal one, okay, which we can use for our accessing our processor system APIs. Okay. So here what I did, like I bought my own domain, your integration buddy.xyz. Okay. So I'll be using my custom domain to access my applications. Okay, I won't be using the default cloudhub.io provided domain by MuleSoft. Okay, so what I did, okay, so here if I go on the edit, okay, I created my own certificate. Okay, so after when you create your own on domain, in that case you have to make an entry of cname common name into your the domain name provider. Okay, so I bought this domain from my from godaddy.com. So I went there and in the domains, the DNS records, I made this entry. Okay, basically it's an alias. Okay, whenever I access your integration.buddy.xyz, it will route me to this domain, which is the cloud.io provided domain. This is how it works. So if I go to the DNS checker, okay, I put your integration body.xyz cname and I search, you see it's getting translating to the cloud.io domain. Okay, and this is the same. If I go here, you see here, this is the okay. So publicly, like whenever I try to access my your integration body.xyz, it is getting translated to the cloud.io project domain. Okay, so here it is like, and if I do an ns lookup also, if I do an ns lookup, okay, so ns lookup for my domain, then you see these three ip addresses will come up. So these three ip addresses are the same, which are the inbound ip addresses, these three, you see. You see 18 20 24 to 38 85 and then 321 and 323, these three. Okay, so it's translating to these three ip addresses, inbound static ip addresses, when I do a ns lookup. Okay, and I uploaded my custom domain as well, because I don't want to access my applications using the cloud project domain. Then I go to the firewall rules. So yeah, so firewall rules, right? So I can these are the ingress rules and the egress rules. Okay, so I can edit them. Okay, and I provide my own rules as well. So for now I've allowed http from any address or https from any address. Okay, in the ingress rules and the egress rules. Okay, uh, you see here, you can just edit it and you can define your own rule. Okay, what do you want to do, what is the destination, what is the protocol, what is the port range. So you can control your outgoing traffic as well. Okay, and these rules are applied on the private space level. Okay, so since these are applied to private space level, it means that whatever applications are deployed in your private space, these rules get automatically applied to those applications. Okay, ingress rules and egress rules, you can edit them and provide your own rules. Whatever destination you want to, suppose I want a tcp to any destination or custom ip address I want to provide, I can do that. And then what are the port range I want to provide, so only those ip addresses or only to that destination the traffic will be allowed. Okay, so it's the
So because
ingress
ingress
and
and egress is like ingress is for the incoming traffic and egress is the outgoing traffic, right?
that is correct. You see
Just
here,
for clarification.
these
Yeah.
rules are applied by your private network so that they affect outbound traffic for every app.
Yeah.
Okay, and then recently they have provided the app level rules as well. Okay, so I can enable the app level rules. So app level rules they have provided only for this egress rules. Okay, so here the combination of both private space and this app level egress rules will work. So if you specifically want to more like have more stricter rules in place for some apps, okay, and then in that case you can provide more rules at the app level as well for egress. Ingress only this private space level work, but for egress both of them will work, like private space plus app level. So app private space plus app level rules, they will work in conjunction.
So do you have
Okay.
any scenario when we'll go for app level egress rules and also in egress rules which in the combination of using both? Any scenarios when we could use?
Yeah, suppose like for one of the apps, like okay, so only that app should be allowed to send traffic to some specific destination, right? In that case, we don't want any of other apps that should be sending traffic to that destination. In that case, we can just provide that egress rule. Okay, the traffic should only be allowed from this app. The
Okay.
other app should not be allowed, right? So in that case, we can define the egress rule for that particular app. Okay, it's clear, Ikram, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And then the environments, right? So it's like we can decide what are the business groups and what are the environments we want to associate with the private space. Okay, so generally, like it's a good practice, right? We can have one private space for our non-prod environment and one private space for our production environment. Okay. Then we have the advanced, the same thing, right? HTTP request. So it's the same thing as we used to do in the DLBs in case of a cloud of 1.0. So we can either accept the HTTP traffic or we can redirect to HTTPS or we can drop the HTTP traffic. Okay, and then the response time out and ingress load balancer logs are there. And here, like the good thing is that you can download your ingress load balancer logs here. Okay, so in the case of cloud 1.2 we don't have the option to download the DLP logs, right? So but here you can download the ingress load balancer logs here also.
So is there any limit on the log size here, or like how we have in the cloud of 1.2?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yes, it is. I think it's, yeah, it's same thing, 100 MB or 30 days for each configuration that we deploy. Okay,
Okay. That is
I'll show
specific
you that.
for each download logs. I mean, even this log and
No, I
application
think
level
load.
logs.
I think it's application logs level only, Ikram.
Okay.
I'm not aware of any limit on the load
Okay.
balancer logs.
So basically, we should through this log we should be able to know like what are all the traffic coming into our load balancer.
Yes, 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 correct. But the limit, I'm not sure.
Okay.
The size limit, I'm not sure. But the app wise, the same thing applies for their
Okay.
like 100 MB per
Mm.
configuration deployed. Okay, fine. So I think any questions, Ikram, or let's
Yeah, there are
move
a
forward.
couple questions in the chat. So one was
Yep.
to explain about DNS configuration,
Mhm.
and another was to
DNS.
yeah, can you explain DNS
Okay.
configurations?
Yes, yes, sure. So what I did, like I bought my own domain and then I created my own certificate and upload it over here. Okay. And the same thing if I edit it, okay, you see here, I need to make this entry in the domain service provider. In my case, the domain service provider was godaddy.com. So if I go here, then where is that? Here it is. So I made this CNAME entry the here with this data. So the same thing they have mentioned here. You have to make this entry there. I made this entry so that whenever I access my custom domain urintegration.body.xyz, it automatically gets translated to this domain. Okay, is it clear, or maybe you can unmute yourself if you have more questions we can discuss.
Amit, do you have anything?
Yeah, I think it is clear. I just have like one more question. So let's say if I have multiple application, right? How can I set up the path to look for like very specific application?
Yeah, I'll show you that. I'll show you that. When I deploy the app to Cloud Code, I'll show you that where we can set
Perfect.
that.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks.
So because next question is from Madhusudan. He asked like he wants to connect to a VPN where we need to configure in private
Okay.
space
If we want to connect to a VPN,
using private space.
okay. So here it is in the private space. Create private space. If I just say a name, okay, like say meetup in the space. Okay, create. Here is the connection. Okay, here the VPN. My connection. Okay. Next, you see here the remote IP, dynamic, static, whatever, like these are values you need to get from your network team, and yeah, and you should be good. Okay, and here you will see the option to create a transit gateway also. Okay, to existing transit gateway, you can use this transit gateway. Like if you have already an existing AWS transit gateway in the same region, you can use this transit gateway option as well. Okay, so both of the options are there. You see the other two options of VPC peering and direct connect are gone, so those not supported here.
Okay.
I
There's,
hope it's clear, Madhusudan.
Yes, Vikas, thank you.
yeah. There's one question from Arun, but he's asking on the rolling update. I think so. When you go the deployment, you can explain about the rolling update thing, I guess, right?
Yep. I'll go that. Yep.
Yeah.
So rolling update is nothing. So basically, okay. So what happens? Okay. Your the current application also, like it's up and running until the new version gets deployed. So that is what we call as rolling update. Okay, and recreate means the current application will be taken down, and when the new version will be deployed. So that
So
is
rolling update is the what that happens by default in CloudHub 1.0, right?
that's correct. That's correct. Yes.
Vikas, one question, last question.
Mhm.
So you created this private space in the environment sandbox. So I want to create a private space, not for a specific environment. It is for applicable for all business groups. Um, for one for prod, one for non-prod.
Yep, you can do that, right? You can have combination of that
Okay.
environments, right? So similar, like it's a similar to creation when you create VPC, right?
Mm-hmm.
So same thing you need to follow here as well. VPC also you create for prod and non-prod, correct?
Yeah.
So same thing you can do it over here as well. Like it's created to have all prod environments. What are the business tools you want to include? So based on
Okay.
that combination, you can create it.
Got it.
So like suppose in Cloud 1.0, you already have a VPC, right? So you can replicate the same thing in the private space as well. One for
Okay.
prod, one for non-prod.
One scenario is there. For example, if I want to expose one API, I mean publicly. So if I wanted to expose one API, experience API, and the process and system API is in two different private spaces. One is for prod, one is for non-prod. One I need to create a one more private space for especially for experience API. Can we do that?
One experience API, no private space, but you can control, right? With whatever APIs you want to expose to internet or whatever you don't want to expose to internet, you can expose, you can control it from the, like if I go here, na, I'll
Mhm.
show you. Okay, so that's where I was coming. Okay,
Okay, okay. Then
yeah, let me just explain here. Okay, I'll show you how you can control whichever one, which ones you want to expose to internet, which ones not. Okay, so let me
okay.
just deploy it and I'll just show you there.
Yeah, thanks.
Fine. Any more questions, Ikram, or we can move forward?
I think so. You're good. So, no problem.
Okay, fine. So what I did, I just take a like a simple use case, okay, in which I have three layers, three APIs. Okay, is experience, process, and system layer. And what I'm doing, I'm inserting data into Salesforce and retrieving data from Salesforce. Okay. So earlier, like this is like a old diagram. So I used to have so okay to increase the performance of the APIs, but now like Redis is like the free count is are no longer we have the free accounts now, right? So Redis part is not applicable here. So what I will do, you can just create an account or create some lead data in Salesforce. That's what we will be doing in this demo. Okay, creation of the lead account in the Salesforce from process, from experience, process, and system layers. So all these three are currently in the Cloud of 1.0. So I'll show you like what are changes we need to that you can deploy it in Cloud of 2.0. So if I go three APIs, okay, so if I go to the first two system, so system layer, go to the pom.xml. Okay, so first of all, like Mule Maven plugin, okay, so I think the Mule Maven plugin versions are only after 3.7.1 those are supported. 3.7.8 are supported, so you need to update the your new Maven plugin version. Because that's the first change you need to make. Okay, after that, you need to have this configuration this tag here, CloudHub 2 deployment. So currently for deployment, we have only that CloudHub deployment tag, right? But now for this one, we have the CloudHub 2 deployment in which if we have to mention all these tags over here, URI, what is the environment we want to deploy, target, where the private space, what is the mule version we want to deploy, our app name, how many replicas, okay, how many vcodes, what is server. Server is nothing but the connected app that I've created, okay, over here, ch2 connect app. So I'll show you, okay, and then some properties we can mention over here, then with deployment settings. So, a forward SSL security. So all these things we can mention in the CloudHub 2 deployment. Okay. So you can easily get the 2 deployment from this official documentation. Okay. So CloudHub 2 deployment, I can just say. Okay. So I think you can just get that snippet from here itself. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think the minimum is supported is 3.7, not one version. Minimum. And these are the things like I was showing you, the out of 2 deployment, and these are the you can get a snippet from here itself. Okay, fine. Then these are the authentication methods. So I'm using the connected app. I'm not using username, password, or server authorization server. I'm using the connected app. So my connected app has a permission to deploy the apps into runtime manager. Okay. And these are the parameters that you can pass to your XML, so URI, email version, username, password, app name, target, provider, environment. So business group, business. So the things which you can control from XML, similar to CloudHub 1.2, you can do it in the CloudHub 2.0 as well. Okay. So these are all the things clustered HTTP. So everything you can do it over here. So yep. And then dependencies are there. Okay. And then in the distribution management and this thing, okay, this is also mentioned on which basically. So here what happens that the if you have ever if you worked with RTF, okay, you must be familiar with the deployment process over there. So basically when we deploy the app, it first gets deployed into an endpoint exchange, and then it gets deployed into runtime manager. So that's where the easy rollback feature comes into play. So here the easy to maintain configurations or the versions in any change. Okay, so you can easily roll back to the earlier version if something goes wrong. Okay, and the earlier version gets changed itself. So the two-step process to deploy. First you upload to exchange, and second deploy to runtime manager. Okay, so here is so I think yep, that's all the standard changes that we need to make it work in CloudHub 2.0. I don't think any more changes are required. Okay, that's what I have also built. So the two-way process, so that we need to use two commands over here, ambient clean deploy. So that will prepare the jar and upload it to any point exchange, and ambient clean deploy with the parameter like d minus hyphen d. We will deploy that will upload to the runtime manager. Okay, so I can show you. First, let me just show you the connected app. So I hope you are familiar with the connected app, but yeah, let me just show you for those who are not aware.
So because is there a minimum version that is being minimum real-time runtime version supported in CloudHub 2.0?
Yeah, it's I think 4.4, 4.4 and
Okay.
above.
Okay.
4.4 or 4.3, I believe. I think it's 4.3 and above.
Okay.
I think it used to come when we used to deploy here. Just 1 second. Here it is. CloudHub, suppose I deploy on a shared space. Okay, and
Maybe if you change the
giving
release channel as edge, it will
this
show
few
it.
dot 4.3.
I think so far you have selected the edge version, right? the
Yep,
release
sorry.
channel.
A long time version maybe. Okay. Here also, I think the drop down used to come earlier, right? If you're
Mm,
starting from 4.3 and above,
okay. Yeah,
yep, it's
this was
giving
4.4.
4.40.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, in the access management, I have that connected app, which I have referred in that pom.xml. Okay. So connected apps. Okay, this is the create to connected app. So here I have copied the client ID and client secret and put into my x settings.xml. Okay, here it is. CH2 connected app, client ID and client secret I have put it over here. So this is having the accesses to deploy the apps into the uh, runtime manager basically. Like it's having all the accesses I have provided over here. Okay. So basically, this we generally use when we want to restrict the accesses, okay, to deploy it into the runtime manager. Okay, yep. So as I told you this settings, so maybe I can just provide you these settings to you. Okay, yeah, maybe after this session, I'll just copy paste into that chat window. Okay, Kram.
Yeah, Vikas. Yes.
So here
Okay.
is a system app, system API that I have deployed. So when I deployed it, I go to the ingress. So here is the public endpoint that we can configure over here. Either you can supply it via the pom.xml or you can come over here. And but yeah, it's not a good practice to come over here again and again and define your endpoints. It's better to use pom.xml to have this public endpoints as well. Okay. So if I want to add API endpoint, okay, add endpoint. Okay, you see over here. Okay, either we can use the CloudHub.io, the default domain, or I can use them which I created, the custom one. Okay. Okay, so it's saying that this endpoint has been added multiple times. So please change your, so it's not allowing me to create another endpoint with the same domain here. Okay, so fine. Let me just, so okay. So if you see over here, public endpoint. This is the public endpoint which can be reached from the internet. Okay, and every API is having the private endpoint, which is like only the API, only the APIs which are deployed inside the VPC can access, or those can be accessed via VPN or transit gateway connections. So for this app, this is the private endpoint. Okay, so here if I remove it, okay, I'll just say add endpoint, choose my custom domain. So here what I can do, like subdomain. Okay, so here because I'm using the wildcard certificate over here, start.urintegration I can use a subdomain as well. It's saying app name. Some of the words are reserved, like we can prefix with the app names or environment or business groups. So here app names would be used, and path, I'm not providing any path over here. So I can just go ahead and apply the changes. Okay, so ingress. So I think just add it over here. It's not giving me the option to apply the changes here. Maybe it's already, like, I have not made any changes, right? So just like I moved and added it back. Okay, so this app would be accessed with this. You see over here, app name has come before this here, my domain name. So ACCCH2 sys app dot your integration body dot xyz, and it is currently exposed to public. Okay, so let me just try to access this app. So what I did, I am inserting this data into lead data into Salesforce. So I took this URL, okay, and this is the endpoint which I was already having this account details for this API. I'll just get this, click on the option, just send this. Yep, its status is saying that success. So the code gets inserted into the Salesforce. So I go to the lead Currently 27 leads are there. If I refresh this data, this 28. Okay, if I scroll down, I will see the new code inserted. Okay, Sunny Kumar, architect. Okay, so now if I don't want to expose this API to public, so what I do, I'll just go ahead and remove it. That's it. Remove the endpoint and apply the changes. Okay, it's applying the changes, and you see replicas 0 by 2 updated. I can see status as well. So now here is like where the role of exchange comes, as I told, right? When we deploy to these configurations, we can pull up from the exchange and then we can revert to the earlier version. Okay, so these are the configurations that get version history, which you can say gets maintained, and we can just like whenever we want to suppose something goes wrong, in that case we can just go to the earlier version and select it and just deploy it again. That's it. Okay, we don't need to go to the whole process of using the CI/CD pipelines and then to deploy the application again. We can just use the version history from the exchange and deploy it. That's it. Okay, so here it is, yep, it's deployed now. So now if I want to access, I won't be able to access it now. You see, not found. Okay, so from here you can control whether you want to expose the API to public or the private, or if you want to keep it private. I hope that answers your question. I think someone asking, right, how to make
Vikas,
it.
can you please come again? Sorry, I missed the part somehow. How to control the,
Okay,
yeah,
so here you add the endpoint. Okay, so
yeah,
this will be publicly accessible.
that's true. Mhm.
Okay, and every app has a private endpoint. This is the private endpoint for this app. Okay, which can be accessible only within the VPC or within the private space or via the VPN or transit gateway. If you don't want this app, suppose if it's private, it's process or system API, you don't want to expose it to public, right? In that case, you just remove the private the public endpoint. That's it. You don't create one.
Okay, got it.
Your app won't be accessible to public.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. So now our system API is up and running and we are able to access it and insert the record in database. Let's take a look on the process API. Okay. So in the process API, when we call the system API, okay, so when we send this request to system API, in that case, we use the internal, the private space, the private URL, okay, to access system API because I have not exposed system API to the internet. So I just put the host name as the private URL provided by MuleSoft.
Okay.
Okay, because I don't want to expose to the public. Okay, so that's the only change you need to make in the process API. The rest of changes in the pom.xml I already explained, so those will need to be applied here as well. Okay, so now I go to the process API. Yep. So currently it is exposed to public. I have public endpoint. So let me just try to insert data using this PRC. I'll just remove this endpoint after I insert this data. Basically, you can just say that company is TCS, and I can say consultant. And last name is Sharma. Let me just try to insert this data. Salesforce. Yep, it's 29 and It should be there, Vicky Sharma. Okay. So now what I will do, I will remove this endpoint as well. Okay. I apply changes. And from here, you can go to the earlier versions as well. So this was the last successful, and whatever you want to go to the earlier versions, you can go from here. So it's very easy to roll back here, and each configuration is maintained for 100 MB or 30 days, whichever is earlier, similar to CloudHub 1.0. Okay. The logs get maintained for 30 days or 100 MB. Yeah, it's getting applied. In the meantime, let us take a look at the Experience API. Okay. So for the Experience API, what I did, I have applied a also. Okay, suppose in CloudHub 1.0, you have applied a policy of suppose. So same thing, you have to do it in this Experience API. So first you have to get the go to the API Manager API and apply the policy over there, and then you request access to that API. So if I go to the API Manager, okay. So here's the API instance ID that I have used in the API auto discovery. Okay, and I have created the policy of client ID enforcement as well. Oh, it's not there. Wait a sec. Okay, fine. Fine, I'll create one policy over here, then not an issue. Okay. So here it is. It's a 3063. So one thing is that like you have to create the auto discovery so that you can relate your application the runtime manager to the API manager. Okay, and the other thing is that similar to the process API, so you have to make sure that you change the process API path as well. Process API HTTP host internal uh, or the internal URL project soft, the private URL basically. Okay, because process API and system APIs are not exposed to the world. Okay, so now I go to the runtime runtime manager. Sorry. Okay, so here it is. Okay, and I go to Ingress, and this is the Experience API. Let me just try to hit it. Okay, and see if I'm able to reach it. Experience EXP. Okay. Let's take a company with Pro, and let's take a with pro.com. Okay. Sharma Associate. I can say that Kumar. Let's try to send this a bad request. Okay. Let me just enable the client ID and client secret. If it is success, okay, I just need to see is not showing because I had applied it. Okay, but yeah, anyhow, it is working, and but those are the steps which you need to follow. It's set the data into 30. Yep, it's 30 is there. The last data is also inserted. So this is the way like you can plan and migrate your APIs, okay, to CloudHub 2.0. And but the most important thing is that you need to keep in mind what are the features which are not supported in CloudHub 2.0 as compared to CloudHub 1.0. Okay, you have to go through these features. To start with, you have to go through this feature comparison table thoroughly and make sure that what are the things which are working in CloudHub 1.2 and what are things which are not working in CloudHub 2.2. Suppose you are using persistent VM queues in your CloudHub 1.2, then you need to replace them with either Endpoint MQ or Solace or Active MQ, any other JMS broker in the CloudHub 2.2. Okay, and if you're using data graph in Cloud 1.0, so those are still not supported in Cloud 2.0, so you need to look for the alternatives in Cloud 2.0. So this table is very important to understand what are the things which will not work in Cloud 2.0, and you need to be ready with the remediation, how to make them work in Cloud 2.0. Only then this migration can be successful. Okay. Yeah, Ikram, that's what I wanted to cover in this session. If you have any questions, we can take those.
Thanks, Vikas. Yeah. There's one question from Devjit Banerjee. He want to use username password instead of client ID and client secret in next experience API. How to do?
Yeah, that is also possible, right? In the authorization header, you can use that. You can simply use a basic authorization. It's like no changes, as similar to what you are doing in CloudHub 1.0. Same thing you do in the CloudHub 2.0.
Okay, and Smita has one question like, do you have any script which we can create to directly move from 1.0 to 2.0?
No, I don't think as of now any script is available, but I heard that something might be coming soon from Microsoft itself. So as of now, there is no automated migration which is there from
Yeah,
1.0
there's
to 2.0.
no, yeah, as of I know as well, there is some migration tool being built to migrate from 1.0 to 2.0, but it should not have the cloud up connectors which are not supported, and there are certain conditions, but yeah, they're still building it, so it's not yet available.
That's correct. Yeah. So we don't know when it will come out in the market, but yeah, as of now, there is no automated migration which is supported.
Smita, you have raised your hand. You have anything else to ask, Smita? You have raised your question. I think so. Okay, yeah, she's good. Okay. Does anyone else have any questions? If they want, they can unmute yourself and you can talk as well.
Yeah. If you have
Uh,
any questions, we can take those. Yep.
yeah. And
Yep.
because is it possible for you to share all the links that you for the release notes and the form file and those things, right? If you want, we can
Yes.
add
Yes.
those
Let
links
me
as well
just
to the
share
screen.
it right
Yeah.
away. Correct. 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 Let me do that right away.
And Frank has a question like, is CloudHub 2.0 is very much similar to Runtime Fabric?
Yes. Yes. Correct. Yeah, Frank, you are right. It's very much similar to runtime fabric. The only thing is that, like in runtime fabric, you have to take care of your infra, right? But here, in that case, Microsoft will do it for you.
And because in CloudHub 1.2 we are able to use up to vCores up to 16 or even 32 vCores, right? So that's not possible in CloudHub 2.0, is
Yeah,
it?
I think it's eight.
Yeah.
Limit to
So in
eight.
case if there is something which has been using 6 vCores, 16 vCores in CloudHub 1.2, if we want to migrate it to 2.0, then we need to redesign the whole application to optimize it to use just 8 vCores.
Yeah, something. Yep, something. Some alternate has to be looked upon. Correct. Because we can't go become beyond 8 vehicles. Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, and then I just you need that form XML also, right? Whatever
Yeah.
changes we need to do
Yeah.
there, right? Fine, I'll just paste that. Okay, I just okay. Okay, message is more than 1,000 characters. Okay, fine. Let me just do it in parts. You got the ping for that XML?
Not yet. It just shows a blank message on the chat.
Yeah, it's not going. But yeah, let me just paste the link from the
Hmm.
group of documentation. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Vikas. Thanks, everyone. And anyone else, if you want have any doubts, just leave a message, or you can contact us on LinkedIn. And also, if you have any feedback and any future topic that you want to know about, just let us know so that we can plan for the future meetups for on those topics. And I think so. Priya Batra has something. Did the slide mention that vertical scaling is not supported in CloudHub 2.2? Then how to do it?
Yeah, as of now, it's only horizontal scaling is supported. Yeah, but some alternates can be looked upon, like using the platform APIs, any one platform APIs. We can try to achieve it. But yeah, we have to look for the workarounds.
So even vertical is more maximum up to only 8 figures, right?
That's correct. Yep.
Right. Okay. Okay. Anyone else? Any other questions before we finish? Thanks, Priya. Okay. Thank you, Vikas. Thanks a lot. And please give us your feedbacks. Any positive or negative, both will work. And we'll try to improve ourselves. And hopefully, we'll see Vikas again in the future topics.
Yep. Yep. Thank you, Ikram. Thank you everyone for your time. And yeah, and just reach out to me if for any more clarifications. If you have any more questions, we can discuss it them offline also. Not an issue.
No. Okay. Thank you, Vikas. I'll stop the recording
Thank
and
you. Thank you,
thanks, everyone.
everyone. Bye bye.
Thanks.
Yeah.